interested in understanding, and I hope that we can have a conversation here tonight about, is how this is an issue that is happening in Kingston and Ulster, but is something that actually Bard College as a community should probably be concerned about as well. Because I've recently learned in this water class and in the work that I did last semester that for those of you who don't know, we get our drinking water from Sawkill Creek right now, right? And we have a great water treatment plant, and we're really lucky to have that resource. But when that water treatment plant shuts down, we turn on a tap that takes water directly from the Red Hook water supply, and that's an aquifer there. And so when we think about companies like Niagara coming in and trying to use this water for other purposes, we need to think clearly about what could possibly happen to our water supply. It's something that is not just an issue in Kingston, not just an issue in these other municipalities. It's something that, as a community, we should probably be thinking about as well.
Yeah, well, I'm from the state of Maine, so I'm very familiar with Nestle and what they've done there. And in fact, the community I'm from is one of the locations, one of the springs that they're tapping is actually an aquifer where I grew up. And the thing too about Niagara is that along with filtered municipal water, they are looking for springs all around the county, inside and out of the county of Ulster. And we know that in Red Hook, they actually identified one. And thanks to the Conservation Advisory Council and their town board, they really were able to lay out the items that Niagara would have to obey. And I'm not sure why that deal fell apart, but it did, and they were looking to purchase land where the spring was. And that will not be the first one. So it does impact us too in that way. The water isn't delineated. It's all connected and interconnected. And that's really important, and you know, as environmental science majors, that's just the way it is. And we don't think too much about it, or we haven't. I'll speak for myself, although one of the reasons I chose Kingston was because it had its own water source, actually. I've always been very proud of that. So this was extremely personal and alarming when we found out that the town of Ulster was engaging in something like this and only going through the water department for approvals, which again left the community that owns the water out of the conversation.
So you both mentioned Red Hook. Would you go a bit more into that and about how they pursue both public but also private water?
Well, the thing is they're trying to first they have to go through a seeker review, a state environmental quality review for their proposal. And we fought hard for 2 months to get a positive declaration in seeker, which means that it's a public participatory process. So their aim is to capture or to purchase 1.75 million gallons of water from Kingston, which currently has a rate structure that the more you buy, the less you pay. It's not a conservation pricing system as it stands. It's totally flip-flopped. And the springs is, it's sort of mysterious. Where are they looking? These are private deals. They don't necessarily, luckily in the case of Red Hook, the municipality was, they were able to have a conversation about and had some things in place that might have deterred them. But in other communities that are not protected in those ways, that might be really desperate for money, it might be easier for them. And in the city of Kingston, because of infrastructure, and also the town of Ulster, that's their big argument, that they need money to pay for infrastructure. So it's complex, but that's the gist of it, as I understand it.
Right.
Maybe as a question, I don't know.
I'm curious what happened in Kingston exactly, in terms of what the bottle company wanted, because
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So back in the, when IBM was in the town of Ulster, IBM purchased water from the city of Kingston.
IBM,
So-
the computer company.
Yeah, who left us a mess over in that area. A lot of contaminated space over there. But so infrastructure was built from the city of Kingston's water source. They tapped into it. They purchased 1 million gallons of water a day, but they didn't use it all. They purchased it. So the infrastructure for water in the town of Ulster is in place, though the delivery of 1 million gallons of water a day has not been in service for a long time. IBM left the area in 93, 94, as I understand it. So Tech City still has, companies there, but they're not using nearly the amount of water that IBM did. And that said, it's important because one of the arguments is that we've sold 1 million gallons of water per day. We have, but they didn't use it every day, and they rarely use that much. So the infrastructure's there. They're looking to fill the Tech City site. It's been vacant pretty much since it was sold, again, to a man named Allen Ginsberg. So they've been looking to find the right company to move in there that also satisfied Mr. Ginsberg's desire. That's what I understand. Or so it was a good match for everyone. So Niagara Bottling has come in, wants to build a bottling plant. We don't know really if the water is necessary from around the area. They may just want to build a bottling facility and truck water in from all over, like you see Nestle does. We don't know. But as it stands today, they want to build their plant in the town of Ulster. They want to reconnect that infrastructure and add another pipeline, so that, because the initial take is 1 million gallons, it's a 3 or 4 stage build out.
And if they build there, will they have access to the town water, like as much as they want?
The town or the city?
Of the city?
Well, they want to purchase up to 1.75 million gallons per day. The infrastructure that's there, that would need to all be looked over, can technically deliver 1 million gallons of water per day. An additional pipeline would have to be added to give them their 1.75 million gallons of water per day. So they're in their application, they're wanting to purchase that water from the city of Kingston. Our water source is in the town of Woodstock. So all of these, so all of these municipalities are impacted. Startup New York is offering, as I said earlier, tax abatements, 10 years of tax abatements to any corporation that applies and is selected. And that process is brand new. It's Governor Cuomo's new program that started in January of last year. And universities and corporations are partnering, and then corporations are being selected based on the mission of the university, that the corporation is providing jobs, and that there's not a company like itself within a certain radius. They're not looking at anything else, essentially. Yeah. So that's attractive to any corporation. And Niagara is at least a $300 million corporation. The $300 million, as I understand it, I'm not sure if it's net or gross, it's a small family business, but it's expanding. They're building these enormous sites now. This is new. There is some speculation that there's some collaboration with Nestle. We haven't confirmed that. We've seen some signs of it, but we don't know for sure. And as far as we know, this is the first major water bottling facility fight. At this point, that's what it's become in the state that we know of. So it's important that we set a good standard here, because New York State has a lot of water, and we know parts of the country are in drought, and that they're moving. Why not moving to the East Coast? So it's important that
That's
we're.
going to be the start of a really big
Yeah.
shift.
it's important to really, to work and to identify municipality charters and policy and management and water management, the public trust doctrine, all sorts of things that we can really start to investigate and engage in and implement so that we get ahead of the curve, because, you know, fracking in New York State was banned, which